Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Hello, MotoAmerica fans, and welcome to this latest edition of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You can probably tell by the dulcet tones of this voice that this is not our communications manager, Paul Carruthers. This is his sidekick, Sean Bice. And I am joined, however, by our communications manager, Paul Carruthers in Southern California. And I'm here in Central Ohio. How is our communications manager, Paul Carruthers, this morning? Paul?
Not so bad. It's a nice... it's a little chilly out here, you know. I think it's 60 or 61, so I'm sure.
Rub it in.
It's supposed to get nicer again for the weekend, which is always good, but it's
nicer.
It actually feels a little wintry today.
Yeah, that 60s is rough as we sit here in 37 or whatever it is. Actually, I can't complain. We haven't had any real snow to speak of, so you know, the thing that drives me crazy though is the cloudiness. On a recent podcast, we were talking about this too, and you know, it's just one thing about this area. It's just I don't know what the deal is, but it keeps the climate fairly temperate, so I'm okay with that. But sunny weather makes you a lot happier. Is it also 60? I'm sure it's sunny as well out there, isn't it?
No, it's actually not.
Oh,
okay. And it's not going to be. That there's like a chance of rain at some point today, but then it's supposed to go away. But I don't like. To me, if it's not sunny, it might as well just be raining.
I agree with you. Yeah,
I don't like that gray. I don't like that gray crap either. It's just kind of blah, you know. But
affects your home.
But we've had a lot of rain this winter, at least a lot for us. So it's kind of good. The hills are all greening up and everything. So it'll be a nice spring when that happens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get this guest on. So this is kind of cool. A lot of times we end up talking to people who are out Paul's way, but today we've got somebody who's a little closer to where I am here in the I guess the Midwest, if you want to call it that. And the interesting thing is I live about a half an hour east of Columbus, Ohio, and this guest that we have on today also lives in Columbus, but he's in a different state altogether. He's in Columbus, Indiana, and it's Dominic Doyle, who's been in our series for a few years now, and he's from Port Elizabeth, South Africa. He's one of the Fab Four, Matthew Skoltz, Cam Peterson, Sam Lockoff, and Dominic Doyle, who are from South Africa and are making their way through our MotoAmerica series. Dom started out in KTM RC Cup and advanced into Junior Cup, had some amazing battles with Rocco Landers. He did a little bit of Twins Cup riding, and this past year he raced in Supersport, but he got hampered in the beginning of the year by a wrist injury, and you know it obviously set him back a little bit, but he had some great results during the season despite that. So obviously he overcame that wrist. But we've got Dominic on today because this is something we've been lucky enough to do lately. We've actually had some riders on that have been able to announce their deals for the next year. We did it with Ben Glotty and Teague Hobbs, and we're going to do the same thing with Dominic Doyle today. So let's bring Dom in. And Dom, good morning, and say hello to the fans, and also tell us what you got going for 2022, and we'll start from there.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm pretty excited to announce that I'll be racing the Twins Cup. I'll be staying with BARTCON for 2022, and I'll be aboard a Yamaha R7. The program's kind of supported by Triple Strong Racing and Sam McDonald. And I'm pretty excited to get the year rolling.
So Dominic, you're actually going to be on an R7, not a converted MTO or FCO7. You're going to get the new bike to start with. Is that right?
Yeah, we've got the new bike.
That's good. That's a good deal. Have you ridden it yet?
I have not, which,
okay.
I mean, we'll probably get on it next month, and I'm hoping to just get as much time on it between then and Daytona.
We've been hearing nothing but great things about it. Ben Glotty was down at, I think it was Homestead. He raced it or rode it. I think he raced it as well. And he just absolutely loved the bike. And you guys seem to have similar body styles in terms of your height and everything. So I'm sure it's going to be a good season for you. Well, let's start out by talking about last year at the beginning of the season. I don't remember which round it was, but saw you with a pretty forlorn look on your face, kind of holding your wrist out a little bit. And, you had an issue in the beginning of the year. And what exactly happened? And, it took you a couple rounds to get through it, obviously. And how's that situation now?
Yeah, it was at Road Atlanta, and at first we didn't really know. I went to the doctor and they kind of said it was sprained, or I went to the urgent care. And so I tried to ride on Saturday morning for Q2 or whatever it was, but I was just in too much pain. So I went for more x-rays, and they told me that I broke my radius. So I was kind of in a cast for a month. But I mean,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
So you actually started the season. I mean, it was the first weekend is when you got hurt.
Yeah, it was qualifying one, I think, Friday.
Yeah. What so then you had the cast on, and when was it that I know you came back, but you were by no means 100%.
Yeah, I was back at Road America. Like I got my cast like 5 days off before Road America.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't 100%, but I was trying to just give my all and get some points.
Now, obviously, you pay attention to everything that's going on in the paddock, and the Twins Cup series to me is like, it's kind of like this new hotbed for young up and coming racers that, there's a lot of guys that go from Junior Cup now to Twins Cup. And then, whether they go to Stockdalsen or Supersport or whatever after that. It's got to be kind of a cool series to be going into based on the racing just looks so fun and competitive to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's pretty cool. I got a couple friends in the Twins Cup class. So, I mean, to get to battle with them will be pretty fun. Like Jackson, Teague and Ben on the Aprilias. I mean, Caleb, Corey, I mean, all of them. I think it's going to be an exciting year, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Have you spent any time on Twins at all?
No, not really, other than those 3 rounds at like the end of my Junior Cup year.
Yeah, Dominic, I was going to say, I wanted to talk about that. That actually surprised me. The end of the 2020 season, you raced a couple of rounds in, I think it was 4 races, I think, on an SV 650. And you actually, so you podiumed in 2 of those races. You were runner-up in the final race of the season at Laguna Seca, and you had a couple of 4th place finishes. So in 4 races, you did really darn well. And I have to tell you, I thought you were maybe going to go into Twins Cup because you were trying it out. It surprised me a little bit that you went to Supersport. Not that it wasn't the right thing to do for you, but for sure, I think you had such good results in Twins Cup, and Twins Cup's come a long way, and obviously your racing is as advanced too. So we're pretty excited and anxious to see what you're going to do in that class. How did it end up that you did you have any plan at the end of 20 to maybe go into Twins Cup, and it just didn't work out, or what happened?
Yeah, I was kind of stuck between the two Twins Cup and 600, and at the end of the day, we just kind of went with 600 and kind of threw ourselves in the deep end. But like we were just trying to do what I thought was best for my career at the time. But yeah, I mean, I'm going back to Twins Cup now, which I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting to a full season.
Let's talk about your health for a little bit. Obviously, well, not obviously, but where is the wrist back to complete? Are you completely normal now and healthy?
Yeah, I would consider it 100% now, or close to 95, something like that. It hurts a little bit like every now and then, but I mean, that comes with everything.
Yeah, and I see we follow each other on Strava, so I see you're in the gym and you're riding bicycles, and I see that on social media as well. So that's all good stuff. Are you able to just focus on yourself and your physical conditioning over the off season?
Yeah, well, right now it's kind of I'm just in the gym because it's a little cold outside. So
You need
I
snow
don't
tires
really.
on that thing.
Well, it's not really snowing. It's just like 16, and I'm like not really trying to go outside.
No, I don't blame you.
So actually, Dom, Port Elizabeth, is that pretty much, you don't get winter there? Was that the case?
I mean, I'd say we still get winter. It's just not as bad as it's like I'd say it's like California.
Okay, so not like Indiana, which is like
No,
Ohio.
definitely not.
Yeah. So last year, I met your mom, who she's awesome. I really like her a lot. She's terrific. And I can't remember if I asked her this, and I might have, but I guess you can tell us. So Port Elizabeth, South Africa to Columbus, Indiana. What's the deal? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, I actually stayed back home, like when my mom and brother had moved here already. I stayed with my dad while I was still racing, but they moved here. My mom came to join my stepdad, who was working here already in Columbus, Indiana. He works for Forcia, who make catalytic converters. So, I mean, this is where they're based. So this is where he is. And I kind of joined them about 3 years after my mom and brother moved here. Once I kind of had like something to ride.
Yeah, and in fact, you went to 2020. No, it was before that. Well, you can tell us, but you showed up at Road America for one round in your first year and had a pretty good result that first time right off the bat. Was that your first foray into MotoAmerica at that time? And had you road raced before that?
Yeah. So back home, I had kind of raced a bit of like I raced a KTM 390 like on the local tracks back there, and like the national championship, which it was back then. But then I got kind of an opportunity. I raced at New Jersey in the RC Cup in 2016.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I think I got 8th, and I was in the like lead group, which it was pretty cool. It was got to ride with like Brandon and Anthony, Jody Barry, Jackson, all of them. And then I got another shot at it in 2017 at Road America. And that one didn't go the greatest, but it was still cool to come and ride another track and learn another track. Road America was pretty hard to learn, I think. But after that, I was still living in South Africa and kind of just waiting on like my immigration stuff. So and then I came in 2018 and raced the last 3 rounds of the Junior Cup season, like privateer. And then 2019, I raced the private, like as a privateer up until the last 3 rounds. And then I got like a shot with BARTCON and kind of been with them ever since.
Yeah, and speaking of which, boy, did you ever get a shot with BARTCON. Colin Barton is quite a character. I mean, one of the most lovable guys out there with one of the most colorful vocabularies I've ever witnessed in my life. He's just a delight to deal with in the paddock.
Sheltered life.
but you're like a son to him, Dom. I mean, what's the deal there? You're real close with him, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he kind of took me under his wing ever since I kind of joined the team, and his help and support like towards my racing career is like unbelievable, and I pretty much owe everything to him.
Yeah, and I mean, talk about what you're doing, what you did this past year, and what Colin does a lot of with Wounded Warriors. We did a story on the fact that you guys went to that one fire. I guess what they call an engine company or whatever in the city, and you guys got donations and did some stuff with that. Talk about a little bit about what you guys do within the team for not only Wounded Warriors, but the whole thing with New York and, you know, the 9/11 thing and all that. Talk about that, if you would, a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, we try to run the Wounded Warrior stuff on all our equipment and stuff at the racetrack just to raise awareness. And then he does quite a bit of like donating and raising money for Wounded Warrior. And then that he just did a thing for that Toys for Tots run in New York. So yeah, he's doing quite a lot of good stuff with that.
Yeah, and obviously Indiana is not close to New York City. So how do you get back and forth? Do you fly there? Do you drive there? Or do you do a lot of driving like a lot of the other riders do in our series? Or are you able to fly various places? How do you get where you need to go most of the time?
I do a lot of driving. Last week I actually drove from here to Pennsylvania, picked up 2 motors, drove to North Carolina, then South Carolina, dropped a head and a motor in South Carolina, then drove from South Carolina to Oklahoma, dropped the motor in Oklahoma, and then drove home. So
is this all related to your own race program, or is it other things?
Well, one was my motor and the other one was just another motor that my crew chief needed, like, to go somewhere. So he asked me to take it there.
So he's like a UPS driver, Sean.
Right.
Yeah.
Goes farther.
I got to earn my keep, you know?
Yeah,
you know, it's funny. Paul can talk about this, Dominic, but the fact that you work with Sam McDonald, and Sam's been involved in that team, and, you know, Sam has such a rich history with that. I know that Paul's written some stories in the past about Sam's exploits and everything, but that McDonald family is pretty incredible. Paul, do you have any interesting Sam McDonald stories you can tell Dom about?
Not really, but I mean, that you're right. I mean, that family's been involved in motorcycle racing for, I mean, forever is a bit of a stretch, but not really.
Right.
You know, Norm, and I think his wife is Lucy. I don't want to be wrong on that, but I mean, they're just freaking solid people. And like I said, they've been around for as long as I can remember being in the paddock, and that's, you know, the early 70s. And it's funny because they're friends with my parents on Facebook and stuff. So I see some of their stuff going back and forth, you know, as old people like to do. Like, sometimes I think I have to tell my mom, I'm like, you know, Facebook's not like a personal messenger. You like, you know, that they tend to go back and forth like that. But I think the McDonald's fit right into that Facebook group that they chat a lot with. But yeah, they're good people, and obviously hardcore motorcycle fans and motorcycle racing fans, because at some point seems like there's been a McDonald involved, you know, since the beginning of time. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Dom, what's your perspective of the family? Is it Sam that you work with most or have the biggest relationship with?
Yeah, so Sam's going to be building our motors for this year and supporting our program a little bit. So I'm really excited to have him on board. He has a lot of knowledge on the bike and just knowledge on racing in general. So I'm really excited to work with him.
So going into the season with a new class, even though you've put your toes in the water with it before, but starting the season fresh, new class, new bike. I mean, you got to be fired up. What kind of goals do you set for yourself? I mean, you could win the championship in that class. So that's got to be good going into something like this, knowing that you could do that well.
Yeah, for sure. That is the end goal. Pretty much going to take it race by race and do as best I can every weekend. And I've got, some tough competition, so I'm not underestimating anybody, but I'm there to win, and I'm pretty fired up for Daytona because I like Daytona, and I'm just really excited to start the year off there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty incredible, those Twins Cup bikes going around there, and to get 2 races, it'll be nice that you know, unlike, well, the 200 is going to get practice, and they certainly get enough laps. I mean, it's pretty much an endurance race, but for you guys having 2 sprint races there, it'll be nice to acclimate with some, practice and qualifying, but also to get two rounds right off the bat. And you kind of start off with a head start over essentially everybody else in the paddock. Dominic, I know you guys won't be racing at COTA, but you'll get 2 rounds under your belt and then kind of get some time to think about it. How's that going to set with you?
I mean, yeah, I think it's great that we kind of get that little bit of a head start and kind of see where everybody's at. But yeah, Daytona is probably a bit different to all the other tracks, so it's going to be hard to tell for the rest of the season. But I mean, I think it's going to be good, two good fun races.
Have you been there at all before?
Yeah, I raced there a couple times, like three times.
Okay. Does this, as a kid growing up in South Africa, is Daytona, like, if you're a kid growing up in America, obviously, and a lot of places in the world, Daytona still has some mystique, and it's like, oh, Daytona. Was that the case for you, or did you not really know what it was?
I mean, more after I came here, not really when I was at home.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's huge just driving in there and seeing everything.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, just to see everything.
So Dominic, when is the first time that you're going to be able to swing a leg over this R7 and actually ride it on the track? I last year, I know Westby had one in their paddock, and I went and sat on it, and man, that thing felt good to sit on. I mean, it's pretty racy, for definitely different than the FC07 MT07. But when will you get to do some laps on it?
So the plan is for me to get some laps in, like right at the beginning of February.
So where will you test when you get on the bike?
Hopefully I'll drive up to Oklahoma and get some testing at a couple tracks there. I know Sam said there's 3 options he's got around there, and then I'll probably head up to Jennings after that and get a weekend of testing in. After that, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to be trying to look for as many track days to hit before Daytona.
A lot of the guys this year, and they've done it for years, but I'm hearing a lot more about Chuck Walla this year. There's some racing going on this weekend. Have you ever considered going out there? I know it's quite a ways west and logistically would be tough, but is that anything you've ever considered doing?
Not really considered doing. I mean, I would like to go out there. The team's in Pennsylvania, so it's hard to get them to head all the way out there. I got work, so I got to take off work for to go testing and stuff. So California doesn't really make the most sense for me. I mean, I would love to go out there because that's where pretty much everyone else is and get to ride with everyone else. But Florida and Oklahoma it is for now.
Yeah. And this is something that we've touched on a little bit with some of our riders, a lot of our riders, because a lot of our riders race. Well, I'm sorry, they work to race. We talked to Teague Hobbs recently, and essentially he's homeless because he got rid of his apartment to be able to afford to race. So he kind of travels here and there and sleeps on couches and things like that. And when we set this podcast up with you, we knew we had a window we had to get in on because you have to go to work after this. And it's a different time of the day. You said something about having to work at 2:30, and I'm thinking, who starts work at 2:30? So what exactly do you do?
I've just got like a retail job at the mall.
Okay. And is it swing? Do you move it around, or is it the same all the time?
It kind of changes. I mean, sometimes I work 10 to 6:30. Sometimes I work 2:30 to 7:30.
He's a working man, Sean.
Yeah, he is. A lot of the guys in the paddock really are, which is, a real testament. I mean, you guys obviously are dedicated to what you're doing, and, hopefully as you advance in your career, that's going to be a little bit different. So, but Dom, thanks for coming on the podcast and announcing your deal for this year. We're excited to see you in Twins Cup. Twins Cup is always I've always said it's a favorite of mine for sure. And there's a lot of good competition there, and to see all you guys in it, it'll be fun to see. Plus we'll have, we'll still have the other generation, so to speak. Chris Parrish's birthday was yesterday, and we're not sure what he's doing for this year, but we're sure he'll be in the paddock in some way. So
isn't he 65? I thought he was too old.
Well, thankfully he's not at number 128. That would be quite impressive. But I'm sure you're going to be racing against Parrish next year, Dom. So take it easy on the old guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you out there. But thanks for joining Paul and I on this podcast, and we'll see you sooner than normal. Normally we don't get to see you till later in the year, but it'll be the beginning of March that we'll be shaking hands with Dominic Doyle again. So thanks, Dom.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, Dom, if you ever get in the van and start driving west and you end up in Southern California, let me know. I've always got a couch.
It'll probably be sometime around Laguna.
All right. Well, we'll talk before then. I'll see you at Daytona anyway. All right, boys. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.